Amendment 8, which is the last amendment that we have on our ballot. And this is actually an amendment to an earlier amendment. It's the class size amendment. So in 2002, the state of Florida passed something called the class size amendment, which mandated that every class in the state of Florida could not go above a certain size. And so that was 18 for K through 3. It was 22 for 4 through 8, and 25 for 9 through 12. The state has spent close to $20 billion over the decade in attempting to come into compliance with this amendment. And the logic behind the amendment is that in a recession, given the fact that so much money has been spent to come into compliance, where a lot of progress has been made, but we're still not there, we would like to relax some of those constraints. And how it would work would be that for each school, those old class sizes, they have to still be averages. So in every school, the average class size for each teacher has to be consistent with those old numbers. But in each and every class, you can actually lift the caps up, and they go up to it's 21, 27, and 30. And so you're lifting that K through 3 up by 3, and the other 2 categories by 5 students. So the averages would remain the same. You have a bit more flexibility. Right now in the state of Florida, if you look at every single class, it varies by category, but it's roughly a third of the classrooms in the state of Florida are not yet in compliance with that original amendment. If you were to apply the new language on averages with a little bit higher caps, it is down to less than, I think, it's for the K through 3, it's a little less than 2% and less than 1% of the other ones that are not compliant. And so it's not clear in terms of how much more we would have to spend as a state to come into compliance, but it is clear that in terms of if the amendment were to pass, the flexibility would certainly bring us very close to compliance, and school districts, again, would have a bit more flexibility in where they put their money. So the proponents argue that this is a sensible thing to do, and that it's going to provide districts with the flexibility that they need to avoid, again, some of the issues where you're right up against a cap and one more student comes into the district, and now you have to either hire another teacher or build another classroom. You can do more stuff with the money. The opponents to the amendment argue that you're backing away from a commitment that Floridians passed earlier on, and that it's clear that smaller class sizes have better teaching outcomes, better learning outcomes. Florida, relative to the rest of the country, it's on the bottom half in terms of its class sizes, and so it's not that good. And so the opponents to the amendment argue stay the course, and they also have pointed out and challenged the idea that while this is a lot of money, that it's money going into schools. And so if you were to pass the amendment, it would allow the legislature to not put as much money into the school.